Does anyone have any guess why yoga is hard on the SI joint?
Because our core is soft.
Weak core will definitely play into it, but think of asanas. Warrior 1, Warrior 2, Warrior 3, standing head to knee, yeah. And then, so you're having the torque in the pelvis and then the shear stress at the sacrum or the SI joint. You have one hip going forward, one hip going back. You have nutation and counter nutation, which is the movement of the joint. So when you walk, you get a little bit of that natural nutation and counter nutation. Like when I did my Viniyoga training, they shortened my Warrior 1 stance by at least 1.5 feet. Because he's like, why are you doing that to yourself? And so you think about that extreme movement and it's taking it beyond the edge. If someone has a spastic SI joint that is acute, meaning they're getting severe pain, the joint tends to pop in and out when they sneeze, then you want to really keep things symmetrical and work on stabilizing. And our core isn't just this. Our core is everything. The warriors that I'm talking about, you're standing up. So your hips aren't fixed. When the low back is at the most risk is when you're seated. So, and the reason is seated like this is one thing because I have pretty open hips, so I can come forward and it's fine. I have pretty tight hamstrings, so if I sit with my legs straight and go forward, my hamstrings are going to block the rotation of my pelvis, pull me into anterior rotation, and then everything in the low back takes the brunt because the floor is not going to move. And that kind of, when I was in training, I'm like, you're sitting down, what could go wrong, But it totally makes sense. And then if you think of, Janu Shirshasana, asymmetrical forward bend, hips are fixed. This is even more so. Janu Shirshasana into the lateral, that puts a lot of pressure on those joints. Now, I'm not saying they're bad poses by any means, but applying them at the proper time for who it will work best for. I teach a lot of healthy back classes, so sadly I don't get to do a lot of seated poses because I usually always start on our back with the knees bent because that's the safest way. When the spine is flat on the floor, completely supported by gravity, that's the safest place for it. You can do really deep forward bends, Apanasana, hugging them in, and everything is long. As soon as you start, with fixing the hips, that puts the discs at a lot of risk. Hey, that rhymed. And with SI joint issues, forward bends can be pretty intense.